Today we would like to share the merits of our practice today with the late George Floyd and his family and friends, plus all those people of color and other minorities who live in fear every day, who have been systematically injusticed and unfairly treated by our society, and all those who are suffering, fear-struck, and grieving as a result of this oppression and its resultant circumstances. And let us begin our practice of metta. May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds. Whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long, large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth, may all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere. Neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another. As a mother would risk her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings, one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless loving friendliness, above, below, and all around, unobstructed, without hate or resentment, whether standing, walking, sitting, lying down, or whenever awake. One should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here, not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision, removing desires for sensual pleasures. One comes never again to birth in the womb. With this metta and dedication are marriage to all these people whom we mentioned at the beginning. Keeping this in mind, let us practice our mindfulness as well. We pay attention to our breathing and notice the breath touching the rims of our nostrils and expanding our lung area and abdominal area. As we breathe out, we notice the abdominal area contracting, chest area contracting, and the breath leaving our nostrils. And this is repeated over and over again every time we breathe in and breathe out. And then we feel the breath. That is the only way to notice that there is a breath. So we don't use words to feel, just feel. We perceive the breath and just perceive it without using a word. We have volition, wish to breathe deliberately in this practice, that we don't need any word, although it is volitional act. We don't use words, it's just a wish. Then we are conscious of our breath. We pay attention to our breath. They all change as we breathe in and breathe out. As they change, we begin to see that there is no any particular desire to hold on to any of them because they all happen very naturally. And therefore, let that happen. That is our letting go of mental state. And then, as we see our resentment or anger as a hindrance subsides, because when we see this reality, there is no reason for us to hold anger or grudge. And then there arises a moment of feeling of metta, loving friendliness towards all beings without any distinction or discrimination. Then arises compassion, especially for those who are suffering caused by various things. This animate and inanimate. Inanimate is this COVID-19 virus. Animate is caused is people who deliberately cause pain and suffering. We develop compassion for all victims as well as perpetrators. They all need our compassion. Those who commit crimes really don't know what they do because they are very ignorant. They need our compassion. And then, as we practice, our joy arises that we are in a very good position to embrace all of them, in a very good position to share marriage with all of them. Therefore, joy arises in our mind. When joy arises, naturally happiness arises. So the greed, hatred, restlessness and worry, sleepiness and drowsiness, and doubt all temporarily fade away from our mind. Instead, the thought of letting go, generosity, thought of living friendliness, compassion, joy, happiness arise and culminating in the attainment of concentration, gaining concentration. That is how it happens. When happiness arises, mind becomes more relaxed and calm, peaceful, concentration arises. And this is what really happens. And now we continue to practice and see how this happens. dukkha pattaca nidukkha, bhaya pattaca nibbhaya, soka pattaca nisoka, hontu sabbe pipanino. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. So too may all beings be. With this wish, we end this part of our morning meditation, and let me continue our talk on dependent origination. We were talking about mentality, materiality. Yesterday we talked on feeling, and we have spent several talks on feelings. Feeling is one of the mentality factors among four: contact, feeling, perception, thought, and attention. So, as I mentioned, feeling is part of our meditation. In the four foundations of mindfulness, the second foundation is feeling. In the Anapanasati Sutta, meditation or mindfulness of breathing, the second tetrad is on feeling. And these two places, feeling is mentioned, and in Anapanasati Sutta, mindfulness of breathing, Pali word is sikkati. Sikkati means training. In the Satipatthana Sutta, in the four foundations of mindfulness, the word pajanati is used, that is understanding. So, these two words have similar meaning. Let us begin with what we find in Anapanasati or mindfulness of breathing meditation. There we see Piti Patisangvedi Asasissameti Sikkati, Piti Patisangvedi Pasasissameti Sikkati, meaning the meditator trains. That can be a monk, nun, man, woman, anybody, although in the discourse the word he is used, that we have to widen the meaning to mean anybody who practices meditation, trains oneself. I shall breathe in, experiencing rapture. Now, when we read this sentence in both Pali and English, one might assume that we have to say, I breathe, breathe in, experiencing rapture. The word I is used here in order to convey the meaning, but we normally advise people, meditators, not to use the word I. because in my guided meditation instructions, we said don't use words, concepts, only when we want to communicate with others. We use words, otherwise, this is our personal experience. So, one experiencing rapture, breathe in. So, the person trains the mind to be mindful of the rapture that arises. Similar, and also while breathing in, when the rapture arises, a person will become aware of that rapture as rapture without using words. Now, in the first tetrad of the mindfulness of breathing discourse, the last section, last sentence ends with the tranquilling the body. One breathes in and breathes out. Now, when the body is tranquil, calm, joy or rapture rises. Now, we mentioned several times this rapture is not any kind of word. This rapture is not any type of excitement, but being calm, relaxed, and peaceful, this mental state arises. So the meditator breathe in, experiencing this mental state, and meditator trains, experiencing this mental state, to remain in that state without using words. In when we finish this Anapanasati Sutta section, I want to go to four foundations of mindfulness or Satipatthana Sutta. There also we see a section called a feeling section. That is the second. I will explain it later when it happens, when we come to that. Then that person trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing pleasure. Pleasure here means sukha. Sometimes we translate this as happiness. Sometimes in this particular English translation we use the word is used, the pleasure is used rather than happiness. So we have to understand this kind of variation in using words is there. So the person experiencing pleasure or happiness breathe in and breathe out. Even at that state, the person does not say, I am happy, I am sad. The word I should not be brought in to our practice. Just all the time we must be aware of what is happening as it is happening. We learn from the beginning that we are training ourselves to see things as they really are. When rapture is there, if you use the word, you muddle the rapture, mix rapture with the word. And then if you use the word I, then ego, conceit, and all these things slowly sneak in to our mind. And therefore, we have to make it impersonal experience as it is. That is called Yatha Bhuta Jnana Darsana, seeing it as it is without adding anything or subtracting anything from it. So, sukha, happiness, when one is happy, being, noticing, feeling that happy feeling, one breathe in and breathe out. Normally, when happy feeling arises, if we are not mindful of the happy feeling, the underlying tendency of greed can arise. Underlying tendency of greed, clinging to happiness. That is my happiness. I am happy, and so on. Where there are reactions to happiness. Similarly to pleasure. Without making any particular reaction, one simply be aware of what is happening. Then, so when happiness is there, happiness arises from pleasure, piety, noticing that, experiencing it without using the word I, breathe and train oneself to breathe in and breathe out. This is a very special training. And then there is another very important term, that is, I shall breathe in experiencing mental formations, sankhara, chitta sankhara. It is interesting in the feeling section, the word chitta sankhara is used. Chitta sankhara, I think if you remember our earlier explanation, when we or explanation of sankhara, we mentioned three kinds of sankharas: kaya sankhara, vachi sankhara, and chitta sankhara. Here we come across the same chitta sankhara. Chitta sankhara is mind conditioner. Mind conditioner. Sankhara means conditioners. Chitta sankhara, mind conditioner, is explained in various places, particularly in Chula Vedala Sutta, in Majjhima Nikaya. Sanyacha Vedanacha, perception and feeling. Perception and feeling are chitta sankhara. Here, feeling is taken out of that. Or chitta sankhara is a mentality factor. There we see feeling. Chitta sankhara is in the group of mentality. And now we see it, we take it isolated and experience it, and experiencing that feeling of the mind or mind conditioner as a factor, we breathe in and breathe out. Even there, we don't say I, or don't say, this is the mind conditioner, or this is one of the mentality factors. Without going into any of these things, if you go into those areas, you deviate from your main course. You go off track. Here we train ourselves to be aware of mind conditioner or the feeling as feeling. So we experience various type of feelings now. Then with this experience, one breathe in and breathe out. Then the last in this mindfulness of breathing discourse under feeling, the last in this category is Pasambhayam Chitta Sankaram. Now Pasambhaya means tranquilling. We don't do anything particular to tranquil the mental mind condition. We don't do anything. All we do is paying attention, undivided attention with mindfulness. Mindfulness attention is not a word. Mindfulness attention is the attention without greed, hatred, and delusion. Mindfulness attention is a pure attention to see rising and falling. Rising and falling are not words, they just happen. So we see this phenomenon, rising and falling, and then the chitta sankhara, mind conditioner, naturally become relaxed and tranquil. Because we don't insert words, I, my, and any concept, simply pay attention to see what really is happening. We want to practice to gain wisdom of rising and falling, of what exists. That is called Yatha Bhuta Jnana Darsana. Seeing and knowing things as they really are. We must remember this sentence all the time. And therefore we don't use words that gets in our way. Although we are so conditioned habitually, the words sneaks into our mind, and this habit we have to stop by paying mindful attention to our experience as we are experiencing. Now, what we see in Mahasatipatthana Sutta in Digha Nikaya and Satipatthana Sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya under feelings, mindfulness of feeling. Their explanation is the statements are almost identical even though the words are different. For instance, in Satipatthana, Four Foundations of Mindfulness, we see how a bhikkhu, Buddha said bhikkhu, as I mentioned here, bhikkhu, although Buddha used the word bhikkhu, the practice is open to anybody. So the meditator, we simply say meditator, when feeling pleasant feeling, he or she understands, I feel a pleasant feeling. Although there also the word I is used, but the meditator don't insert I there. There, the word, instead of training, understanding is used. Understanding. So the meditator, understand the pleasant feeling as pleasant feeling. Uh, Sukhang Vedanang Vedya Mano, Sukhang Vedanang Vedya Miti Pajanati. The happy, while happy feeling is present, or when happy feeling is present, the meditator recognize it, identify it, understand, knows it as pleasant feeling, happy feeling. Again, the second part says, when feeling when painful feeling is there, when feeling a painful feeling, he understands, I feel painful feeling. Now, when pleasant feeling is there, the meditator becomes aware of pleasant feeling or happy feeling. Whenever we hear the word when, that involves time. When. Only when pleasant feeling is there, the meditator becomes aware of that pleasant feeling at that time. Not before, no after, but when it is present, the meditator becomes aware aware that it is present. When I say this, you may remember, if you follow this trend of my thought, or the theme of this teaching, these talks, the theme is dependent origination. In the dependent origination, the formula we must repeat the formula in our mind all the time. When this is, this is. When this is not, this is not. When this arises, this arises. When this passes away, this passes away. So when the pleasant feeling is there, the meditator must know this is there. Pleasant feeling is there. Then the next section says, when painful feeling is there, that person knows that painful feeling is there. Then pleasant feeling, when it is there, one becomes aware of the pleasant feeling. If pain arises, the pleasant feeling is not there. Pleasant feeling is not there. So, when painful feeling arises, we cannot imagine the pleasant feeling. We become aware of the painful feeling. So, when pleasant feeling is there, pleasant feeling is in our mind. Since it is impermanent, pleasant feeling is impermanent, painful feeling is there. If the pleasant feeling is not, pleasant feeling is permanent, no painful feeling can arise. Since the pleasant feeling is impermanent, painful feeling arises. That means pleasant feeling has to leave the mind for painful feeling to arise. This is what Venerable Dhammadina mentioned in Chula Sutta. Pleasant feeling is pleasant when it is present. When it is absent, it is pain. You see? So, pain is painful when it is present. When painful is absent, then it is pleasant. You see, these two work so alternately. Pleasant feeling, when it is there, pleasantness is there. When the pleasant feeling disappears, pleasantness is not there, unpleasantness of pain is there. So pain is waiting for the pleasure to leave. And the pleasure is waiting for the pain to leave. So that they are competing with each other, so to say. So as soon as pleasant feeling slow, as pleasant feeling is weakening, painful feeling is gaining strength. When the painful feeling is weakening, pleasant feeling is building up its strength. So these two happen. So the meditator's job is, while paying attention, one should be very mindful without using any words to see how these two compete. How these two compete. Pleasant feeling is not permanent and painful feeling knows that. I mean, we say metaphorically. And painful feeling is impermanent. Pleasant feeling is not wait until you leave, I take your place. This kind of mutually exclusive situation we experience when we pay mindful attention. One leaves when the other present, and this is happening. So if we use the word I, then it is very difficult to get rid of this I to see this reality. If you don't use any word and simply pay mindful attention, then you can see this reality happening. So, next is when neither painful nor pleasant feeling is present, the mindful meditator knows that neither pleasant nor painful is present. Only when we are mindful can we notice the existence of neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling. If we are not mindful, what happens? We skip this link, this very important step. We skip and jump from pleasant to pain, pain to pleasant. But if we are mindful, we can see slowly when pain disappears, before pleasure arises, neither painful nor pleasant feeling is there. This is not very easy to see because mind is cluttered with so many things, and only that is why the Buddha asked us to develop mindfulness, and in mindful state we can see this happening. And therefore, without using any words, we continue to pay attention to these feelings. I think I will continue this from the Satipatthana Sutta day after tomorrow. Tomorrow is my day to answer questions, but day after tomorrow I will continue the from where I stop today, this moment. Now, once again, friends, I want to end this short talk. I hope you all will remember this to connect this with the next talk. You may remember this when you watch soap opera or movie and so forth. You will connect one scene with the other. You will remember it very clearly. But when it comes to Dhamma, you, you may not have that kind of uh, mental state to connect this. Therefore, try to remember this very clearly. Once again, I want to end this session with the dedication of our merits. I want to repeat what I said at the beginning. We would like to share the merits of our practice today with the late George Floyd and his family and friends, plus all those people of color and other minorities who live in fear every day, who have been systematically injusticed and unfairly treated by our society. And to all those who are suffering, fear-struck, and grieving as a result of this oppression and its resultant circumstances. Now, we heard today is George Floyd's Memorial Day. I heard from several sources that there will be memorial service at 1 o'clock. Friends, this is a very special announcement, and we want to share merits with all others, and we want to wish all those who are suffering from COVID-19 and those who lost their relatives and grieving, we want to wish them to be free from grief, and those who are now trying to help these people, like doctors, nurses, and some other medical uh, professional people on the medical field, chemists and hospital staffs and so on. And there are many people, very generous people who are supporting financially and otherwise. They all have very healthy, peaceful, happy state of mind with great patience, compassion, understanding to continue their wonderful, noble work. And also, as I mention every day, there are world leaders in every country who are in a position to make decisions. They can be leaders of the country, leaders of communities, leaders of religious organizations, and business and so on. These leaders have wisdom, understanding, patience, courage, determination, above all, patience and compassion to make right, wise decision for the benefit of all beings, and may all beings come back to normal state and live long in very good health. Thank you for participating in this session.